Good day everyone, this is your European Open Briefing for Monday, September 26th. I'm Rafi Boyadjian, currency analyst at xm.com, and we're going to be looking at what's happening in the currency markets today. It's been a fairly quiet start to the week. The main highlight in the Asian session today was a speech by Bank of Japan Governor Haruhiko Kuroda. Apart from that, we didn't have much data, so the main focus for the rest of the day will be on the upcoming US presidential debate. It's going to be broadcast live in the US at 22 hours GMT. So the debate between Clinton and Trump is going to attract a lot of attention. And the upcoming presidential elections will likely have slightly more impact on the financial markets than US presidential elections would normally have, given that Trump is seen as a bit of an outsider, and this is creating a bit of an uncertainty in terms of what policies Trump would apply if he was to win the elections. The other main news today was crude oil. We saw crude oil prices slipping back sharply on Friday, although they did bounce back a little bit today. And we've got a number of central bank speeches from the ECB and the Fed coming up. Now looking at the dollar-yen pair, it's been fairly steady since late Friday. There was little impact from a speech by Bank of Japan Governor Kuroda. This was his first speech since last week's Bank of Japan meeting, where they announced a bit of an overhaul to their monetary policy, where they decided to target the long-term yield curve instead of having a monetary base. Kuroda today reiterated the readiness to use every available tool to achieve their inflation target, and he did suggest that rates could be cut further into negative territory, or another alternative is to lower the 10-year government bond yield target. But there was minimal reaction in the market to these statements, as they were pretty much in line with what we heard last week. Now, looking at the upcoming presidential debate, it is estimated that there's around 20% of American voters that are still undecided, so it's likely that we could see large swings in the polls after all three debates have been seen. The first of which is today, of course. Hillary Clinton has a slight lead over Donald Trump. And Clinton is seen as more market-friendly, so a Trump win could upset financial markets. So we could see some volatility in the dollar this week while we have these debates. We have a number of Fed speakers coming up. We've got Kaplan, Kashgari, and Tarula all later scheduled to make public appearances. We're not sure whether or not they will mention monetary policy, but it is possible that if they do mention, if they do give their views on the rate hike cycle, it could yet highlight the growing division within the Fed, whereas we've got a number of hawks arguing for an immediate rate hike, one of which is Eric Rosengren, who on Friday boosted the dollar a little bit after he said that rates should go up now, basically, by a quarter of a percentage point. The speakers today are seen as slightly more cautious, a little bit on the dovish side, so we'll see whether or not they'll mention monetary policy and whether this will have any impact on the markets. Now, in other currencies, the euro is slightly up today. We've got ECB speeches by Benoit Cœur, Vitor Constantio, that's the ECB's vice president, and of course ECB President Mario Draghi. Mario Draghi will give an opening statement in the European Parliament, so we're not sure whether or not he will speak about monetary policy. The pound continues to come under pressure today. This is mainly on political news, political developments in the UK. Recent developments suggest that Britain could be heading for a hard exit out of the European Union, that is, to leave the European Union, to leave the single currency altogether. We also have some dispute within the within the main cabinet ministers in the UK. Over over what form Brexit will take, or Brexit negotiations will take, and so on. And this has dragged the pound back below $1.30. The other main movers today were the Australian and New Zealand dollars. They're down mainly because of weaker commodity prices today. The Kiwi had a further further impact from a much larger than expected trade deficit for New Zealand out earlier today, where exports were much bigger than expected and imports were much higher than expected. So let's have a look at what happened at oil. We saw a 4% slump on Friday. This was after reports that Saudi Arabia and Iran were no closer in reaching an agreement. Just hours earlier, before they fell, we saw this big sell-off. There was some optimism that they would reach a deal after Saudi Arabia had made a compromise offer to Iran. Today there was a bit of a boost after the Algerian energy minister said that we should have some kind of an agreement on the September 28 meeting, but for now we're likely to see just more speculation and more volatility ahead of the September 28 meeting. Let's have a look at what's coming up later today. The main data in the European session will be the German IFO survey, and in the US session later on we're going to have the new home sales, but apart from that it's a fairly quiet day today. So thank you very much for watching and have a great day.